Welcome back to the 8th concession. My name is Natalie. Winter has returned to the 8th concession. Overnight we got some snow and everything looks white again. And although it's colder, at least it looks like January now. But that does make the gardening season seem that much farther away, except for one thing. I got my seed orders in the mail. I can't wait to open them and show you what I'm going to be growing this year. So as I've mentioned before, I tend to save a lot of my seeds, and I do this for a few reasons. One is it's very cost effective. It's basically free seeds. Also, I don't have to worry about supply chain issues or my favorite variety being sold out. So I always have on hand the plants I want to grow. But mostly I save seeds because I know they're coming from plants that do well in my area. So my climate, Southern Ontario, Zone 5B, my soil, all those things, then I know that from year to year I'm going to be successful at growing that type of plant. But sometimes you want to try something new. You want to experiment a bit. You want to see if you can find a better variety or just a second variety that does well. So that's what I've done. I have ordered these seeds back in the fall, and to be honest, I don't really remember what I ordered. So this is going to be a bit of a second Christmas for me as I open my packages and see what I've got. Now the first one I'm going to open is from Heritage Harvest Seeds. Now this is a company in Manitoba, Canada. I tend to order from Canadian companies only because I'm pretty confident then that the seeds will do well in our harsher, colder climate. This company sells only heirloom seeds, which I also love, which also means I can save the seeds because they're not hybrids, they're not cross-pollinated. So I do enjoy buying from this company, and I have bought from this company before. So now I'm going to open up and see what exactly I bought. Here is the first one. This is Polish pea bean. I came across these Polish pea beans which said they were perfect for drying and for making baked beans. They're an heirloom variety. So they're a little white bean, and I am going to try growing these this year. Very excited. Montcalm kidney bean. I guess I was on a bean kick. So I use kidney beans in chili and sometimes in other stews, and I thought this year, instead of buying them in a can, which I've done in the past, I have a big garden, why don't I try and grow my own kidney beans? Once again, an heirloom variety where I should be able to collect the seeds and grow my own kidney beans going forward. The next packet is Nora Barlow Columbine. So this is obviously a flower. Now when I order some of these companies, you pay one shipping price for, a certain number of packets. And sometimes I like to experiment with new varieties because I don't have to pay extra shipping. So that's what I was doing here. I love columbine. Now this is an ancient type of columbine, and it said in the description that it has double flowers that have like a dark rose color and a green color. So I think these are going to be really, really pretty. Perron sprayless tomatoes. Those of you who've been following me from last garden season know that last year I tried, I think, 3 new varieties of heirloom tomatoes. And this one was included in my package from Heritage Harvest Seed for free. And so I planted them, and it turned out that this was actually my favorite. It was my favorite because it was definitely more resistant to the blight that I'm plagued with on this kind of wet ground with a very high water table. It did the best. It had very uniform sized fruit. And although a lot of the heirloom tomatoes, a lot of people like they're very wavy and crinkled, I kind of like the smooth shaped tomatoes best. They're easier to slice. I find there's less waste. So this has a very uniform size. So I had planted all of the seed that they gave me. The packets didn't come with very many. I planted them last year. I didn't try and save the seed by planting a tomato plant away from the rest so it wouldn't cross-pollinate because I hadn't really planned on growing this. But so I had to order some more. This year I'm going to make sure I put a plant in another part of my garden where it won't cross-pollinate with my other varieties of tomatoes, so I can save the seeds, because this definitely was my favorite. Early jalapeno pepper. I planted this last year but used up all my seeds, and once again the peppers I tend to plant right beside each other because I didn't have a lot of room, and I didn't try and plant it where I could save the seed knowing that it was in fact not cross-pollinated. I really like this jalapeno, and early is important here where our hot weather only lasts for so long and I want to get a good crop off. Use this in salsa and flavoring soups and stews. So this was a really nice variety for me and did well in my garden. Along that same vein, the Hungarian hot wax pepper. Again, I planted this last year, planted it right beside the jalapenos, and despite the fact that I crowded them too much, which is a perennial problem of mine, and they were a bit shaded from the cucumber trellis, they did really well, and off only 5 plants, where 2 of them were too close to the cucumbers to really produce a lot. These did really well, and I had enough to make some hot pickled peppers for Craig, who loves them. So I grabbed some more seeds because I was out. Matt's Wild Cherry Tomato. Now this is obviously a cherry tomato. The cherry tomatoes I was growing last year I loved. They were called Tidy Treat. They were like a dwarf plant, and they were mass producers of really sweet cherry tomatoes. The problem was they're a hybrid, and I got the seeds from my daughter-in-law and I love them, but again, I'd like to be able to collect my own seeds, and when a plant is a hybrid, that means 2 different plants were crossed to get a new kind of plant. You can't be guaranteed that the seeds you save from a hybrid are going to be exactly the same. They might be more like the mother plant, they might be more like the father plant, but they might not be exactly the same. So I thought I would try and find an heirloom tomato seed, cherry tomato seed that I liked, that I could save the seeds from, knowing that the baby plants would be the same as the parent plants. This one seemed to have good description of very sweet, and again a smaller plant. Sometimes I like to plant these in pots up near the patio, so I like that it's not going to be a huge plant. The other good thing is it's only 55 days from when you transplant it in the garden. I need early growers for these hot, heat-loving plants because we can have some cold weather moving in sooner than we'd like here. Now, as usual, I've noticed with this company, because I've ordered from them for a few years now, they did send along a little freebie packet of seeds. And I'm very excited. This is called green salad bowl lettuce. So I'm going to try a new lettuce seed. I'm going to have to look up what this is. So I just actually looked this up on their website. This is a type of leaf lettuce. It was developed in 1952, so I love seeds that have a long history. And it was an All-American Selection winner that year. So small green frilly lettuce apparently that is great in salads and doesn't bolt easily. 50 days, I believe, till it's ready to pick. Sounds great. I can't wait to try this. Now, this next package actually came from overseas. This came from Europe, and there's a reason, because as I said, I like to order seeds from my area so I know they'll grow. But I was looking for something very specific, and that is a specific onion seed. Now, those of you who watched me harvest my onions last year know that I grew a few varieties. So I grew some Walla Walla onions, I grew early globe or early yellow globe onions, and I also planted some onion sets, which were called Dutch onion sets. Now, I've planted them for years through many houses because I found them easy to grow from sets. Now, if you're not familiar, sets look like tiny little onions. And what the grower has done is they have started the plant from seed, and then when it reaches very small bulb stage, it pulls them and dries them. So when you plant them in the ground, you have a head start. The plant starts growing from this little bulb, and it goes much faster and you have a better chance of success. The problem is sometimes the little seeds think it's their second year of growing and they go straight to flower, because onions flower in their second year. And that's great for saving seed, but the onion itself puts all its energy into making the flower and the seeds, and the bulb isn't so great. So, and they're more expensive obviously than the seeds. So I did some research because I was trying to find the same variety that are the Dutch onion sets, and it was hard to pin down the type of onion it was. And it ended up being a variety, I have to remember it now, called Stuttgarter Riesen. And these are the ones they typically use for Dutch onion sets. So I tried to find these seeds. I did find one seed company in North America that had them, and they were sold out. And another one was coming from the United States, and the shipping on it was going to be $40. I'm sorry, I can't pay $40 in shipping for a $3 pack of seeds. So I looked a little farther afield and I found these in Europe. The shipping for a bunch of packets of seeds was only $6. Now that I thought was certainly more reasonable, although I don't understand that, how they can send them from Europe for $6 but $40 from the US, and there was only one shipping option for the US. It's not like that was the, you know, the super fast express and I could have chosen a cheaper, slower version, because I would have. That was the only option. So anyway, I went overseas to get these Stuttgarter Riesen Dutch onion sets. Sorry, not sets, seeds. I'm very excited to try these, to see how they grow. And these I can also then save the seeds myself. I will let some of the plants, I'll harvest them and then I'll plant them again next year and start saving my own seeds so I don't have to run around trying to find them again, because they were rather difficult to find. And the reason I wanted these, I should mention, I grew the 3 varieties, and although they all did well to grow, storage for some of them just didn't work. The Walla Wallas and the early Globes, they started to sprout so quickly and went soft so quickly. They would be good if I was going to dehydrate them, or if you happen to have a freeze dryer and you wanted to freeze dry them and you did them right away right after harvest, they would be very good for that. The taste was delicious, but they just didn't keep in storage. The ones I grew from sets, the Dutch onions, they keep almost an entire year for me. A few of them will sprout, but I still have onions in the spring that are nice and hard and great for cooking without doing anything extra to them, which is why I wanted to find these seeds and grow these. So that is what I want to do with these. I'm very excited because they're great storage onions. I think this came with 300 seeds, so I've got plenty. So while I was shopping there, again, because you could buy multiple packs and have the same shipping, I decided to pick up a few others. They were great prices, and if you were with me when I organized my seeds and I realized I had a lot of cucumber seeds left, and then I said, oh shoot, I think I ordered some. I did. I ordered them from this company. So this, oh gosh, the variety's in Polish, so I can't read it. But I remember it was English on the website. But this is a pickling type of cucumber. I do make sweet pickles and dill pickles each year. I thought I would try some from Europe, which tends to have a climate very similar to ours, you know, really cold winters, short growing season sometimes. So I wish I could, I wish I could say the name of these. I have a son-in-law. My older daughter is married and he speaks Polish, actually. I'll get him to translate for me. Actually, I think these are the slicers because I think these are the pickling onions. Pickling cucumbers. Again, I can't read any of it, but it was in English on the website, so I did pick it according to what it said about the taste and the size. It's going to be fun to try these new pickles. I also bought some celery root seeds. Celeriac it's called sometimes. Now this one has some English on it. Yes, Celeriac, Maxime, I don't know, is the variety. And again, I needed some new ones. I use celery root in soups and stews. If you've never tried it, it has such a delicious flavor, and it gives such a delicious flavor to your soups and stews. I highly recommend trying this in your cooking. It is delicious. So I thought I'll try those from over there because I knew I was out and I needed some new ones. Then I got some herbs, just again because they were inexpensive. I have some sage, which I didn't grow last year, but I'm planning on expanding my herb garden this year. So I'm going to try this sage. I don't have much information on it, although it was on the website. I should look it up again. Oh, here it is on the back. Perennial. I think it's just your ordinary sage. And then some oregano. Now, those of you who've done a garden tour with me know that I was growing oregano behind the red door in that little herb garden, and it's doing well. But when I went to dry the leaves or the little stems, they just didn't have much flavor. Like, it didn't smell or taste a lot like oregano, and I thought, well, maybe it's the variety. So I'm going to actually try a new type. I don't know if it's a new variety, but I'm going to try and regrow the oregano to see if I can get more flavor in it. Now, my last package here is from Ontario Seed Company. I've ordered from them before, and there's a reason I order from them. Let me find it. And that's because it is my source for loofah seeds. Now, as you know, I grow loofahs and I dry them and I use the sponges around my house. I really enjoy being able to grow my own sponges. You can't find these seeds everywhere. I think if I looked online it wouldn't be too bad, but these are local and I know I've had success with them, and I was out of them, except I found some that I actually harvested out of a loofah. So I'm actually going to do a bit of an experiment where I try some of the ones that I saved the seeds for, but also I know I have some seeds here. Now, I planted my loofahs beside my birdhouse gourds. Now, I looked it up and apparently they don't cross-pollinate, but part of me is unsure because they're both gourds, so that's why I'm a little hesitant about using the seeds I saved from the loofah. So I want to double check, grow them, and see that they are in fact growing plain loofahs and not some weird hybrid of the two, bird-shaped loofahs. So I bought some new loofah seeds because I was out. What else did I get? Oh yes, I forgot about this. I bought asparagus seeds. Now these are Mary Washington. They do well around here. There is a reason that I bought seeds versus buying the plant starts, which you can also buy. You can buy from this company. You can buy them all over the place. And that is, these are a perennial, and once they're planted, they're going to stay in that spot, unless you move them around, which isn't great for them, but they can stay in that spot for about 20 years. And the problem for me is I don't have a spot ready yet. Now, as you know, those of you who've been watching, I'm expanding my garden this year because I got rid of my old garden, but I don't have the beds in yet. I'm worried that come the spring, you know, that I can get the materials I want, the concrete blocks that I use to make my raised beds, that I'll have enough of them, that I'll have the ground ready. So I'm not ready to plant these in the ground this year. Now, the good thing about it is when I looked them up, when you plant asparagus seeds, they don't advise you actually plant them out the first summer. They advise you to keep them back and plant them the second summer. So that works out perfectly for me because hopefully for sure next year I will have a bed dedicated to growing asparagus. And of course it's a lot cheaper to just buy the seeds, and seeing as I have to wait anyway, I thought I'll try growing them from seed. I don't know how many are in here. It sounds like quite a few. I will be able to start a lot of asparagus plants and have them ready in 2 years, which is also good motivation to make sure I get my garden done. Sweet corn. We love sweet corn here. There's a lot of corn that grows in this area, and I bought it from Ontario Seed Company simply because I know that it grows well in this area. It is peaches and cream, which is my favorite. And other than last year when I tried to grow them behind the new garden and they didn't do so well because the red-winged blackbirds ate all the corn seeds. But the year before that, I grew them and they did really well, and we enjoyed several meals of delicious corn. So I'm going to take more care when I plant them this year to keep the birds away. Maybe I'll even pre-sprout them in the house or start them. I'm going to have to look up to see how they take to transplanting. They might be a type of plant that doesn't like it, in which case I'll just have to take some measures when I put them in the ground that the birds don't get them before they can grow. But I'm looking forward to some delicious sweet corn this summer. Now the rest of the seeds from this company are actually not food. So this is Gaillardia. I thought I would just try these. These are a perennial. I like perennials. They're less work for me if I can find one I like in a spot that I like. I think that they're great that they come up on their own every year. Just trying to see. Heat loving. Now we do have some heat, especially in the summer, especially in the front of our house. It gets very hot and dry. So I think this is going to go in my front flower bed. Don't they look pretty? I think they're going to be a lovely addition to my garden. Crimson red blooms with darker red centers. Sometimes the flower petals are highlighted by small yellow tips. Oh, I think this is going to be really nice. The other thing I'm doing this year is something just fun and a little bit of an experiment. I'm actually going to try growing some trees. Now I have grown cedar trees here the last couple of years because we have a big cedar tree out front that we call the condo where all the birds seem to live in winter. And it dropped a whole bunch of seeds the last couple of years that I just picked up off the driveway. I stratified them in the fridge, which means I kept them cold to imitate going through winter. And then I planted them and I had great success. I kept them for a year in pots, and then last fall I actually planted them along our property line so that they can grow and give us some privacy and shade. They are a bush type of cedar, so they don't grow like a pyramid. They are just nice and bushy. I think sometimes they're called hedging cedar. So I thought, well, I've tried those. Maybe I'll try some other trees. It might even come to the point where if I have lots of them, I can sell them to family and friends. So I thought, well, for a few dollars for some seed, let's see if I have luck with other trees. So here is the first one I'm going to try. It's actually blue spruce. I wasn't even aware you could buy tree seeds. When I found them on the website, I got very excited. Colorado blue. Most of you, I think, know how pretty these are when they grow. I love evergreens, so they give us some interest in the winter around here against all the snow. I love the color. I love the shape. These might be a bit tricky. I'm going to have to stratify all these tree seeds. Again, I'm going to put them in the fridge in some moist peat moss I think I'm going to use for a month or so, and then plant them out and see how they do. So Colorado blue spruce. I'm also going to try some balsam fir. Now we use balsam firs for our Christmas trees here each year. I love the smell of them. I love the look of them. And I thought, well, I'm going to try and grow some. I would love them around the property. They're so pretty. And we have some open spots where I wouldn't mind some more evergreens. So balsam fir. We'll see how it goes. This might all be a huge failure. We'll have to see. This one might be familiar to anyone in Canada. Sugar maple. So this is the type of maple tree. It's my favorite. There are many different types of maple trees, and we have a lot of them here in Canada, especially in Ontario. These are the trees that turn the beautiful colors in the fall. Some maple trees just go to a yellow, but the sugar maples are the ones, when the conditions are just right, they turn brilliant oranges and reds, and they're so beautiful. They're also the ones that give maple syrup. Now, I don't know if our property is suitable to grow enough of them to collect maple syrup, but I just love the colors in fall. I would love more sugar maples on my property, so I'm going to try growing some. And the last one is more of a shrub, I think. It is a flowering dogwood. Now we have wild dogwoods here. They have beautiful red stems in the winter. They look lovely in containers or pots for like a display. But ours aren't flowering. I think they're called red osier dogwoods. They have pretty leaves. They're lovely little plants. They still have the nice red stems, but they don't have the nice flowers of the flowering dogwood. So seeing as dogwoods do well here, I thought, oh, I'd love to have some more of the flowering variety. My mother used to have one, and it was so pretty in the spring. So I'm going to try and grow some. Because if you've been to a nursery lately, shrubs and trees are so horrendously expensive that I just don't think it's in my budget to buy, a nice big Colorado blue spruce. It will take several years for this to grow to a decent size, but I've got time, and I think it'll be worth it to be able to grow them and feel a real sense of accomplishment to grow them from seed. We'll see how it goes. Tree seeds, of course, are much trickier than vegetable seeds, but I'm up for the challenge. I'm actually really looking forward to growing these trees and shrubs. So that's it. That's my seed haul for this year. The new seeds I'm going to try, the new experiments, challenge myself, seeds I've been looking for quite a while, and some pretty things to grow around the property. I'm really, really excited for the new growing season. I hope you are too. Bye for now.